Hi, welcome to this Torah. I recently saw a saying that says the following: fool me once, shame on you. But fool me twice, shame on me. And what that means is that there are many times where we make mistakes. And if we make a mistake, or if we've been fooled once, okay, it happens. But if we're fooled a second time, if the second time something happens and we still don't learn a lesson, then it's not to be looked at the person that fooled us and say, how dare you? But look at yourself and say, how come you fell for this twice? And this is really something that we see in this week's Sedra. We read two Sedras this week, Chukas and Bolok. And in the second Sedra, we read about Bolok and Bilam. Bolok was the king of Moab, who was extremely afraid. He was very antsy about the Jewish people's presence right next to his country. So he calls upon Bilam. Bilam is a sorcerer, and he comes forward and he asks Bilam to curse the Jewish people. And Bilam comes and he tries once to curse the Jewish people, and instead of cursing the Jewish people, he actually blesses the Jewish people. And at that point, Bolok and Bilam should have maybe gotten the lesson that God doesn't want this to happen. And yet Bilam says, let's go somewhere else. Let's try in another place, because maybe here it doesn't work, but there it will work. So they go to another place. And in front of all of Bolok's ministers, again, Bilam opens up his mouth, and again, Bilam blesses the Jewish people. Now you'd think after two times he's definitely learned his mistake, but no! Bilam goes and tries a third time. And this third time it's even worse. He gives the Jews a blessing that we use every morning as we come into Shul. Ma tovu alecha Yaakov. How beautiful, how goodly are your tents, O Jacob, Mishkanasecha Yisrael, your Mishkan, your dwellings, O Israel. That's what Bilam says about the Jewish people. He just doesn't get it. He does it again and again and again. And a fool keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. But it's not only mistakes that I think this is true for. Because fools don't only not learn from their mistakes, fools also don't learn from their experiences. And this is the point that I think is really important to make, specifically this week, as hopefully next week we make our way back into Shul. We've just gone through an unprecedented period. 12 weeks, 14 weeks maybe, that we've not been in Shul, that these Shuls have not had any services, that almost all Shuls in the UK have been closed and have not had any services. And what has that experience taught us? What have we learned from being home and either not being able to come to Shul to daven, or not being able to come to Shul to socialize, or not being able to come to Shul and see your friends, or not being able to join for a kiddush, for an engagement, for a party, whatever else it might be? All those experiences that we've lacked for the last 3 months, what have they taught us about our appreciation for Shul? What have they taught us about our appreciation for davening and for communal life? And if the answer is nothing, then that's just as foolish as Bilam, who does the same thing again and again and again and doesn't learn. So take the time, maybe as you make your way back to Shul, hopefully next week, the week after, whenever it will be that you feel safe to come back to our Shul, we will be putting in place tremendous amounts of social distancing, guidance taken from the chief rabbi, best practice, risk assessments. We are going to make sure that our Shul is going to be safe and secure for anyone who feels nervous to be able to come back and feel this is a place where I'm not going to be put in danger. So whenever it is when you come back, think about it before you come back. What have I learned? What have I missed? How do I want to appreciate this Shul better now that I'm able to come back? I'm not able to sit next to my friends because we have to sit with social distancing, but that means I can't speak to them. But maybe that also allows me to concentrate more on the davening. Maybe that gives me a chance or an opportunity to do something that I've never done before, which is focus on the words entirely from the beginning of the service to the end of the service. Think about that. Think about the changes that we could make in our understanding of the davening, in our attitudes to the davening, in our whole state whilst we are in Shul. All that can change. Why? Because we look at our experiences and say, the experience has taught me something. I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to wash it aside. But I'm going to learn the lesson. And instead of saying, shame on me, I will say, The first time was shame on you, but the second time I've learned my lesson. I've grown, I've become a different person. And my davening, and my learning, and my entire attitude towards Yiddishkeit will be very different from now on. So hopefully we'll see you all soon. I look forward to seeing you. We will have a booking system. We won't be able to have all of you back in one go, but please God, I'll be able to see all of you physically in shul, to join together for davening, for laning, for sermon, for inspiration, and for the communal feel that we feel here in the shrubberies is so important and is so warm and vibrant. Looking forward to seeing you all and wishing you all a very good Shabbos.